If you are constantly asking yourself, why aren't clients paying photographers fairly anymore? I've got a bit of pill for you. It's because they don't have to. We're not in a crisis of client ignorance. I know that's been banded about. Oh, clients don't want to pay. We're in a crisis of creative compliance. I love that. I'm so good with this, right? The truth is, you can't expect paid work to thrive in an industry where unpaid labor is endlessly supplied by us. So, us who want pay, demanding pay, will still do stuff for free and then wonder why no one wants to pay. From the free content for brands to unpaid guest talks at sellout expos, this isn't exposure. I'm going to say it, it's borderline exploitation. Dare I say, maybe not quite as bad as that, but let's go. We're dressing up with hashtags and networking platitudes to make ourselves feel better about it. Yeah. This episode was actually asked about and I won't say asked about, one person messaged me. Let's not pretend I've got thousands of followers just yet. But one person said, "Can we talk about it?" And I was like, "Do you want to talk about it?" And they were like, "I don't know, worried about what people say." Well, I ain't, so I'm going to talk about it. So welcome to the Loud Lens, where we rip off the rose-tinted filter, shine harsh studio light into your eyeballs, and we'll talk about the industry. Hi, I'm Khandie. I'm going to have to stop saying multi-award winning because I think everybody is, thanks to like so many of those online groups that just say, "Hey, you've won Best Wedding Photographer in a Red Dress Award." I don't know. Educator, author. My new book is very soon to come out, people, on Amazon. And the blunt voice you never knew you needed. You probably still don't need her. Be honest, actually, you probably don't need me now. Today's episode is about the dirty, unpaid, under the table underbelly. That sounds very ostentatious, doesn't it? Of our industry, but not the obvious kind. We're going after the stuff no one wants to call out because fear of retribution. So I asked in this little group I have, what were the things, and a couple of people came back, and there was pretty much three top ones. As you can imagine, the one where it's exposure. Okay, you're like swapping hours of work for exposure. That then led on to people saying shooting for brands with the honor of tagging them. So they'll send you something and then, then you have to do it for them. And the other one that came out quite, which was a bit of a shocker to me because I didn't know that people were doing this, but was speaking at photography events and getting nothing in return, like barely even like a tote bag. In fact, I think someone said they didn't get a tote bag. I was like, what? You didn't get a tote bag? Not even a thing. Anyway, these are the three main ones. I might dabble in a few others, but these are the ones. Sorry, I've got hiccups. I should have edited that out, but we're not going to. These are the ones that people were talking about. So let's talk about that endless supply of free labor. Here's a basic business truth. If free labor exists, paid labor gets devalued. Clients, and yes, sometimes that includes big budget festivals and six-figure product brands, are not stupid. They know they can reach into the creative pool and literally just hook someone out who says yes for visibility, exposure. I know we're always on about exposure, but let's talk about it because people want their name out there. They will do it. They will do it every damn time. There is always, I don't care how many times, even if you made it illegal, there'd still be someone doing it, okay? We don't just allow this system to exist, we helped build it. Now, psychologically, we cling to unpaid work because it feels like we're getting some momentum because, oh my God, they want me. I'm doing some work. Yay. And it taps into that imposter syndrome as well, that I'm not ready to charge yet. I'm not ready. Here's the thing, if they're reaching out, they see a value in you. Now, you might not see that value, but they did. Okay. That should go, oh, they want me. They want some money from me. And it strokes our ego because we've been chosen. Even if there's no check. Do people still pay by check? Do we do check? Does anybody pay by check? Hit me in the comments. I can't remember the last time I saw a check being paid. There you go. Oh no, I have. When Policy B, if you mention Khandie Photography when you buy your camera insurance from Policy B, we both get checks of some money and some chocolates. There you go. Not an ad, just for a check. That was the last time I saw a check. But here's the actual fallout, not from the Policy B thing because they're great, but actually just about the fact that we're doing what we're doing for the industry. We've trained the industry to expect labor for free. So when you do quote a fair price, they've already lined someone up who will do it for the product or for nothing. Unpaid work doesn't just hurt you, it hurts all of us. It hurts us all real bad. I don't know how else to say this. Every time you accept free, you're saying you don't need to pay people for this. So it doesn't have a value. Oh, okay, cool. Brilliant. Brilliant. Now, the one I want to talk about, which is quite prevalent, is quite prevalent, was quite popular in this little chat, was the brand collabs. So they call it gifting, but this isn't your birthday. This is business. The brands reach out. We love your vibe. We want you to create some content with our product. Now, I do know that on this, particularly on Instagram, there's a lot of these like, try our jewelry, our sunglasses, our women's wear. Right? We're not talking about those. We're talking about brands. Okay. They want you to create some content with their product. We'll send it to you for free. You can give a discount code to share. And you're like, wow, that sounds flattering. You're right. But except, you have to contextualize a shoot. I don't know, create a shoot, style it, light it, capture it, edit, then distribute it. Not just distribute it, but you also have to, like, I don't know, create the product behind it. So you've got the product itself, but you then need to create the video content. You need to make sure it's polished, and then that brand will also give you stipulations over what they want. And what have you got for it? Maybe a 10% discount code for your followers. Oh, that's nice. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Is that what you got? Okay, cool. The brand gets a polished and on brand. I couldn't think of another word for that. Visual marketing. Okay, and you maybe get a few dozen likes and no rights on how they use your work. They can reuse your images in ads, reels, e-commerce things without ever compensating you. That isn't an influence culture. That's an unpaid ad agency. Okay? Creatives are being groomed into thinking it's prestigious. Now, if you're already using a product and you've paid for that product and they say to you, hey, we'll give it to you for free if you create this, I'd be like, that's a bit of a fair deal. I'm already paying for it. I'm already using it. But if you're not already using it and then they go to you, hey, this, and you're like, I had no need for it before, but now you want me to do this. Is it really work? I mean, I just feel like you should be compensated. I don't know if it's that people are sitting here going, oh, I'm creating all this stuff for free. Yeah, for companies that have marketing budgets but aren't spending it on you, okay? They're just not. And this is the thing, like, do you know how much products cost to make? I mean, like, the individual, what the actual retail value is of that product compared to what the actual cost to the businesses of having that? I remember one of my friends, she worked for, should we say, just a well-known camera company. Let's just leave it at that. And she was selling one of their products at £600, knowing it cost the company £20 to literally have it in production per unit. And she was like, that's insane. I was like, yeah, there's a lot of involvement in that. But she goes, the marketing department has one of the biggest budgets, but they regularly expect not to have to pay their creators because they just don't put it in the budget because they know there'll always be someone for free. That's nice. That's nice, isn't it? To know that the people that we're buying into don't even want us to be paid for the work we do for them. And if we didn't do the work, they wouldn't have the product to say. It's a vicious roundabout, isn't it? It's vicious. But this is what people are asking me to talk about. So we're talking about it. I'm really open to discussions on this. I would love a debate on this. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Let's just talk. I mean, I have some of this stuff I sit on the fence with. And the next one is I do sit on the fence on this one. And it's about the photography expo conferences workshops. I'm going to just chuck them all in together because a lot of people were talking about things. So some of the events have charged. Well, for example, someone was asked to host a portrait workshop, and they were like, "Oh, we'd love you to host it. We'll advertise you, blah blah." And she was very keen to do this until she realized she wasn't getting paid, and she was like, "Oh, I'm not getting paid. Oh, but we'll make you our figurehead, and then that will get you loads of work." And she was like, "Okay, I'll do the first one." She didn't realize until she looked at the ticket prices to attend that they were charging over £100 to attend half the session with her and 200 and something, I think 260 something pound to attend the full day. And they didn't have budget for her at all. And she was like, what? And there was like, I think she said she taught about 40 people in that day. That's a lot of money. And it was that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, and nothing is going. They didn't even give her travel. They said, "Oh, we'll get you some lunch," and she was like, "Thanks, that's great, that's fantastic." Okay. Not only that, some of these events get brand sponsorship. So there are brands who are like, hey, we want to get involved. We can supply this to you. So they'll use it for their marketing, but they're not passing any money over. But somehow now the event isn't having to hire, I don't know, lighting, or isn't having to hire a venue, So there's less of their profit being sent off to pay for all this stuff. They also sell merch, live streams, and make content out of it that can give them money. I know that there are a couple of brands that are on TikTok. I was trying to like really do a deep dive into all this because I don't want to like throw any event under the bus. Please understand that's not what I'm saying. But when people suggested it, I wanted to do my best and like do some deep dives. And I looked at some of them, and some of them have like TikToks which were clearly earning money. Maybe not a large amount of money, but that's still money there. Now, I will say I have spoken at events, and all of my speaker slots, as far as I can remember, have been paid. I've been paid varying amounts, but they've always been paid as far as I'm aware. In fact, yeah, I think they have. I think they have. I think people acknowledge that you were, yeah. That, yeah, yeah, maybe I'm lucky. I don't know. But there are some people who build their programs for their events around the fact that people are going to speak for free. And I have been invited, don't get me wrong, I have been invited to speak for free. I've also put myself forward as a speaker when people have asked the speakers, and I've been told that's great, but we have no budget whatsoever for people. And I'm like, okay, so you have a ticketed event, but no budget for the actual content of that event. And I was met with silence. Now, in the past, this is when I was first starting out, I was like, okay, no, do you know what? I don't want to maybe travel, I don't know, total of 6 hours, 7 hour, whatever it was, to your event and not have any remuneration, and particularly when you are selling tickets. I'm not into that. Why wouldn't you? And people got a bit of exposure. Is it is it a massive exposure? I mean, I could go to that event myself, take a few selfies and meet up with some friends and probably get some cool pictures. Unless you are sending me an absolute video team down to record me, you are live streaming me, or there is something else, what I'm getting is a few shots of me stood there. I mean, I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but I'm just trying to look at it as, is it called devil's advocate, where you're just, you know, I don't know. I don't know. But what you are asking me to do is to create a talk, promote your event, show up polished, refined, and ready to go, and then engage all day with attendees, all while covering my own travel and accommodation, which is something that really shocked me. Someone was asked to, this is the one that really got to me. Someone was asked to fly to, should we say, a country in Europe to speak at an event for a particular niche type of photography, and said, yeah, here's my cost. And they were, oh, no, we were hoping you would just fly. I mean, like, what? Imagine flying all that way and no one giving you any money. Like, what? And I'm going to speak at your event, and you are like, oh, here's international, I don't know, Joe Blogs, and you're not going to pay any, like, what? Who's covering your accommodation while you're there? And they're not even covering your expense. Like, they didn't even want to cover food. They didn't want to cover travel. They didn't want to cover any sort of remedial expenses. No even fee for speaking. Nothing. They weren't even going to pick them up from the airport. Nothing. And they were like, yeah, it's a great thing though, because you'll be speaking in this country that I can't name at this event that I also can't name. But I was like, what? Why is that even happening? And do you know what? People from the UK went. Now maybe they got paid, but the email that this person said they got, and they screenshotted it instead, was that they didn't get paid. They there was no fee. They don't pay their speakers. And I find it hilarious then when you go to these events and you look at what the panels, what people are talking about, and it's about valuing your worth and how to earn money and make clients, but they're not even paying the experts that are attending. It's so performative, isn't it? And it's damaging, and it trains the next generation, or even the current generation, to believe that industry respect doesn't come with a paycheck. Like, I just, my brain is just like, oh, okay. And now in this chat that we had, there was a couple of people talking about, like, they didn't understand the actual costs that they had. I mean, some of them like, oh, it's just my time. One of the things you don't have enough in this world is time. You don't know if your time runs out tomorrow. You don't know if your time runs out in 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, you don't know. So the fact is you're willingly throwing it away without any form of remuneration is quite shocking to me. Do you know what? If I was to go speak at an event and they said, we're not paying you, but we'll do exposure, and I would go, okay, I want to consider that. Okay, I would first of all look at how much travel and petrol or whatever is it going to cost me to get to that event. Okay, like, for me, once I'm traveling over an hour, I'm like, you need to be paying. We are in a financial crisis in this country, and I am in a creative industry that is getting hit hard and hammered hard. I need to know that I'm getting some money back. So first of all, the fact is, if you're not even paying for my travel, that's a red flag to me, as the cool kids say. What about all the time I'm going to spend prepping this, right? There has to be a value done with that. I'm not just sitting here on my ass going, yeah, I'll just speak about this and then it's done and then it just comes out of my head. That's not. Even just creating the little slideshow presentations, going through rehearsals, that has a value on you. It's time away from your family. It's time away from earning in your studio or photographing or editing or doing other things. It has time. I remember prepping for one of my big talks. I spent, I think, 4 days just planning out what I was going to say. Not like solidly days. Please don't let me over egg the situation. But then I spent 2 days solidly rehearsing it over and over again. Do you know why? Because I was somehow very nervous. And maybe you don't do that. Maybe you're so coined that you're one of those people that always grinds my gear when you show up at every event, no matter where you're booked, and do the same seminar and no one gets anything fresh from you. Maybe you're that person. Maybe you're those people. I mean, why people book people who just give out the same seminar, I'll never understand. But But anyway, I'm gonna go off my high horse on that one. But there is energy. Then, like, not to mention the energy you're gonna have to do when you're sitting there, sitting in front of people who have paid to see you, but none of that money comes to you. So you're engaging with them, you're chatting with them. Also, if you're doing like any talk of demo, what about your gear? And when I say wear and tear, people are like, whatever, whatever. You know your shutter has a limited time, right? Your battery, everything you're using, that has a time, that has a value on it. And then there's the more tangible stuff, like, and I'm gonna say the is it psychological? Psychological cost? It's huge. Like burnout, resentment because if you don't enjoy it, nerves, anxiety. And then the ultimate one, the distorted sense of your own value. Because I'm going to tell you now, if people say, I can't pay you, that hits. That means I can't pay you because you're not worth it. If I was worth it, they would find money. That you've got a massive event and you can't even bum me 30 quid to for petrol or something. Like, come on, not even cover my parking. Like, how bad does it need to be to show that they don't respect you? What they need is you to be there so they can sell tickets, but none of that ticket money is coming to you. How bad does it have to be for you? Okay. Okay, there is no business model that can survive on goodwill. You wouldn't ask a caterer to feed 200 people for networking. You wouldn't ask a venue to host a brand alignment, right? And with all we've got all the charities, charities have paid people working for them. Okay, very controversially, there are some well-known charities in this country that pay a lot of money to people. Okay, a lot of money. All right. But and here's the thing, we ask photographers, speakers, educators to do it constantly, work for free. And the thing is, we all go, yes, because I want people to know that I was speaking at this event. But everyone knows you're not paid. So you were the person who agreed to unpaid work. That's how I see it now. That's how I in the group, they're like, I'm just gonna see it. It's like, wow, you preach about wanting like value and to be seen, and then you don't get paid. Can you imagine if I did that? Can you imagine if I showed up at an event? I was like, yeah, I'm not getting paid, but know your value. Like the hypocrisy of the situation. Now, here's the truth: paid work will not become the norm until unpaid work becomes unavailable. If you keep saying yes to unpaid collaborations, workshop, panel seats, you're not just undercutting yourself, you're propping up a system that wholly relies on unpaid creators to stay afloat. I know it's hard and I know there's a fear, but if more of us said, what's the budget? Or I don't know, no, I don't work unpaid. This is my speaker fee. This is my appearance fee. This is my judging fee. Judging is in like you've asked to judge some photography, not like I'm just going to send you scornful remarks in a kind of Joan Rivers kind of way. I'm not doing that. But, this is my fee. The more pressure we put on the industry to budget for our work, maybe someone will go, oh, wait, okay, maybe we do need to pay people. That's interesting. Maybe we should pay them. Because I've been in production meetings where they are like, how much we pay the video for? I don't know, like 100 quid. I'm like, did no one find out what the going rate for this kind of work? Wasn't there like 100 quid? It's fine. I'm like, but really for a videographer, you think 100 quid? What? Yeah, we'll get somebody. We'll get some. We always do. I'm like, oh, so that's what it is. Everyone's trying to save money for themselves, but not willing to pay for it. But if everybody at that say, I'm just going to use a photo event. If everybody went to the photo event was paying money to see people, and you were like, that's great, and they're telling you about your worth, and they're telling you about this is how you run a business, but you all found out that none of them were getting paid. Would you think less of them? I don't know. I have to say, I know that I've been to events where some people have not been paid and some speakers have been paid. Okay. I have to say I've been to every event I have spoken at that, like I said before, I've been paid. I've been paid happily and no quibbles, and it's been great, and I've really enjoyed it. And I'm not like I have to recognize how fortunate I was, because when I was talking in the group, I was really shocked that some of the names I was talking with, who I have actually seen at shows, were doing it unpaid. They were running workshops unpaid. Like workshops that people were charging tickets for, but not them, but they were working under a company head. And I was like, so what do you get from it? And I'm like, because I don't want to just say, don't do it if there's like a remuneration. Remember, remuneration doesn't have to be finances, okay? So one of the guys said, oh, I did this talk and they gave me some lighting. That makes absolute sense. The remuneration was the lighting gear. You needed the gear. That makes absolute sense. One person said, oh, I got a backdrop. And I was like, okay, that's a little less. Okay, it was like £100 backdrop. But I'm like, okay, you got the backdrop. That's what you wanted. Okay, that's fine. That's what you were happy to exchange. That makes sense. And one person said, oh, I got like a tote bag and I got some stickers. And I was like, for how long was your talk? And they're like, oh, I did a half an hour demo. And I'm like, what? And now the thing is, you might think, it doesn't matter if you're doing a 5-minute day or half an hour. You're not just there for the 5 minutes. You have to drive there. You have to go there, set up, do the work, do the prep, and then, you might even stay longer and come back, whatever it is. There is some level, and you did it for nothing. I was like, oh, okay. And the event that this person did, it was something like, I think she said the ticket price was like, it worked out as like 45 a ticket, maybe. It was like a workshop thing. And I was like, but nothing came to you? She's like, no. I said, but you were she was like one of the main speakers. I was like, did you not ask? She was like, oh, they were promoting me. I said, so what promotion did you get? And she went, oh, they put me on their Instagram. I said, okay, and how much engagement? What was their engagement rate like? And she just looked at me blankly. Before, like, and you don't even have to ask them what their engagement rate is. You can go Google that, and you can do these little things where it tells you what it is. You shouldn't be working for companies who say, we're gonna give you exposure and promote you, if they can't even promote themselves properly and don't have that level of interaction with their own audience. Because I don't care how prestigious they might look to you on an email, if their own social media isn't engaging, what is the point in posting you? Because you could do that better yourself. Like, there has to, like, just do some due diligence. Like, it's not hard. Like, it's nice for our ego to be asked, and I get it. And like, oh, I've never done it before, I want to do it. But I'm always shocked when I see more and more of this happening. And I was like, so they didn't have a valid engagement? And she was like, no, no. I was like, okay, so what else did you get? I got a couple of photos. And I said, oh, are they good? Can you use the photos? Yeah, they're okay. I was like, oh, that doesn't sound great, does it? Like, they didn't, like, I said, maybe, like, here's the thing. I was offered a speaking slot at an event, and they said, look, we don't have much of a budget. We'll pay your travel, but we'll also do these, like, there was these really cool headshots that were really cool. And I was like, okay, that's not a bad, We're now sweetening the deal. I get it. And I was like, okay, so what else? And they were like, oh, we'll promote you on our social media. I said, so what would that include? Like, why can't I ask these questions? I'm in the realm of business. Why can't I ask these questions? What am I getting? Because that is your value to tip the scale for me to go, that has equal or more value of what I'm doing. Okay, like, I need some tipping of the scale here. It can't all be on my side. And I don't know why we can't have these conversations. So once tell yourself, next time someone says, we'd love to feature you, don't get so flattered, get factual. Are you going to make money from this? Are you going to get some sort of kickback from this? Is there something that's going to come to you? Because I'm not just talking about remuneration and money. People think everything needs to be paid. It doesn't, but there has to be something that you're getting. Telling me you're going to promote me on social media, and how are you going to do that? Are you going to dedicate a reel to me? And what would be the format of that reel? Like, we're in business, honey. We're going to have these discussions. If your bank balance doesn't change, if your social media doesn't change, doesn't get something from it, I'm going to say, walk away. Walk away, child, walk away. Unpaid work or zero remuneration. I don't think unpaid work is the right term, because it, like I said, it doesn't have to be physical monetary value. It can be remuneration of some description. Dressed up as a collaboration, to me, feels a little bit exploitative. And exposure doesn't pay your bills, certainly doesn't pay my tax bills, and it doesn't, buy my coffee and my dog food. Um, but it doesn't mean I need financial gifts. Like, I can get other things. I've been gifted stuff in the past when I've spoken on spoken. That was very posh, wasn't it? I have been given stuff in lieu sometimes. I mean, always had expensive. I've never been unpaid. But I've also had additional stuff given to me. Okay. I don't know. Like, we want this to be a thriving, respected industry, but we happily handing out free labor. I we deserve to be compensated, surely, especially if someone else is making lots of bang off our work. Like, I don't know. This is the one that I have to say, I was interested in it, and I know I've spoken briefly on it, but when people started giving me real life scenarios, I was like, ooh, okay. Now I'm gonna say no to tote bags as a payment. They're nice. I mean, I'm still burning bridges here, and but then I've never planned to walk over some of these bridges, and some people deserve to be left on an island. I'm just saying. But I don't know. I want to know, have you experienced this? Have you come across this? Have you felt this? Have you seen this in real life? I want to know. Anyway, this has been the Loud Lens. I'm going to disappear now. Probably going to do some research on another weird topic that I was asked to cover. I say asked, like, two people. But it's been I've enjoyed this journey on the podcast with you so far. Loads of you are listening. I say loads, probably just my family hitting repeat. But it's been fun. You guys are cool. Okay, see you soon. Don't forget to follow me on @KhandiePhoto on Instagram. Check out my YouTube, where you can also see these on YouTube, but also some videos of what I'm up to in my life. Until then, think before you say yes, I guess. Like with all things in life, I guess. Bye.